What's going on, people? Welcome back to Palace News, where we're discussing all the latest confirmed signings and rumours with Palace. As always, if you do enjoy it, make sure to smash the like button and subscribe to not miss out on future Palace content. Joined by Patrick. Patrick, there's a lot going on right now, of course, with the ownership group, which, as I say, will be a separate video. We'll be talking about transfers in this Palace News. But let's talk about the one confirmed outgoing, and that's Malcolm Ebiowei. So Palace have confirmed that he has joined Hull City on loan until the end of the season. For you, Patrick, Are you happy with this, considering that he wasn't getting much game time at Palace?
As I mentioned before, I would have preferred that he stayed, based on the fact we don't really have a lot of cover at the position he played, which is on wide right. Yes, we use Ayew and Elise, but if they were to get injured, we'd be down to one or the other. But you're right, he wasn't playing. He wasn't being picked for whatever reason. He's going to his championship side under a manager that he played under. Liam Senior was the assistant manager at Derby, so he knows him. So hopefully he'll get lots of playing time and get up the kind of start that, that Jez has had with Charlton and John Kamani had with Carlisle, and just really play well, and hopefully come back next season and be one of our, either, if not our first choice, at least one of our choices for next season in the first team.
Yeah, look, I'm happy with this, in all honesty, because I didn't really see him getting it's so hard to talk nowadays, ain't it? Getting any proper game time at Palace to the end of the season. We're out the Cup, right. League Cup and FA Cup.
Right.
And you just got the Premier League. And as you said, there's Elise there, there's Ayew there. So I feel like even if there were injuries, I feel like there's enough players to rotate it around. And I don't think we would have reached any point of the season where we have to rely on Ebiowei. So it's good. 6 months, go out on loan, get first team football under a manager that he already knows. And I think it'll help him. I think it'll help him develop his game, man. It's another experience for him. He's playing in the Championship once again, which is not an easy league to play in. But let's move on to the second bit of rumour, which is on Jean-Philippe Mateta. So according to the reports, Galatasaray are interested, in talks with Crystal Palace striker Jean-Philippe Mateta. Galatasaray want to loan him and give him the playing time in the title race. And that's according to the Turkish newspaper Fanatic. Patrick, Mateta going out in this window? Look, I think there's a debate to be made about it. You're saying no, but we've seen that he clearly isn't in Vieira's plans like that. Vieira trusted him before, but he hasn't really been kicking on this season. So there's that aspect, and you can get rid of his wages a bit. You can offset that. But then there's also the debate that would it make sense to loan him out at this stage, because that means we need to bring in another forward. Otherwise, we just have Edward or potentially Wilf as our options up there. So for you, where do you stand?
Listen, clearly he hasn't had a great season because he hasn't really played that much. And when he comes on at sub, doesn't do a terrific job. But he did start the last match against United. I just don't see the point of lending him out just for get rid of the wages and to help Galatasaray out. Again, you just said that we don't have any cover. I mean, if it's Edward, it's Wilf and possibly Ayew. It's not deep enough. And we have no youngster that I would say, okay, you know what, let him go out. Maybe so-and-so would take his place. There is no one. I mean, we don't have a lot of cover. We just sent out probably our best forward in John Kamani Gordon out to Carlisle. So, and we don't play youngsters, let's be honest. So I don't like the idea. I really don't understand. Unless we bring in someone either via loan or a permanent, I don't see the point in letting Mateta go. It just makes us weaker. What have we always said, D? We have a very weak squad, right? So we're gonna it doesn't make any sense. So I don't get it.
I understand that weaker squad element, but if this is an opportunity to sell Mateta and try to recoup some of that money, and let's say this opportunity might not come down the line, don't you think it's worth considering, even though it does make us weaker in the short term? Because with Mateta even in it, let's be honest, for me, I don't think it makes us that stronger. It makes us stronger in terms of numbers, but in terms of actual quality, I don't think Mateta makes us a better side. So if a side that wants to get him on loan till the end of the season with an option or with a deal that they have to make it permanent at the end of the season, I don't think it'll be the worst thing, because he's a player that we can definitely improve on.
I'm not saying we can't improve on him. I agree on that part. But again, I don't think halfway through the season is a good idea to get rid of a player that we're using. I mean, the last match, he started a striker with Edward behind him. If we weren't using him at all, I would say, you're right. Let's just but we have used him. And I think that, honestly, Vieira wants to use him in that role. And if it doesn't work, but I wouldn't be surprised if he starts again against Newcastle tomorrow in that similar role. So I'm not sure if that makes sense. Again, getting a replacement, I'm all for it. Just to let him go out, I just don't see it making any sense. That's just me.
Yeah, but look, let us know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Of course, I'm trying to show you both perspectives. Look, I wouldn't want him to go out on loan as well, ideally at this stage. Even though I would like us to move on from him in the long term.
I
Now, as
get
it
that.
stands, it doesn't sit. It doesn't suit Vieira's style of play, and there's no point of having players there that just make up numbers. But you have to ideally replace him. You can't just go in with just Edouard and Wilf, which we already know he doesn't suit playing up front by himself. So. Look, keep Mateta to the end of the season. But if there is a good enough offer, then maybe consider it. But out on loan, I'm not too sure at this current moment of time. Maybe a Sacha Bowie swap. Maybe. But if that happened, Patrick, quickly, yes or no?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've seen that being thrown out there. Of course, I would do that, but you didn't mention that when you first started this whole thing about
exactly. Yeah, I didn't mention it. Now I
for a right back,
a right back option.
Okay, having said that, yes, if you're going to swap Mateta for Bowie, 100% I'm all for it.
Okay, so swap deal, yes. Loan move, no. Fair enough.
Right.
Let's move on to a quick bit of news on contract extension. It seemed like Vicente Guaita has extended his contract, and that is according to Sky Sports. Now, Patrick, I don't know how to feel about this. I love Vicente. He understands the club, but there comes a time where you have to consider the age side of things, and you have to see if he actually suits Vieira's football. At certain games this season, he has struggled with his distribution. You have to say that. And in honesty, I would like us to move on to a younger goalkeeper sooner rather than later. And it might work in a way if he's a backup to Sam Johnston. But for me, yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. It's a bit of a weird one because I felt like this could have been the perfect opportunity to move on from Vicente, but it seems like the club wants to keep him on longer till maybe he's 36, 37.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think he's done a really good job when he's been here. He has elements of his play that are very good for Palace and some things that I'm not pleased about. He doesn't fit Vieira's system from the standpoint of, his feet, as far as kicking is not great, distribution is not great. Coming off crosses isn't great. But he's a very good shot stopper. Communication sometimes, I noticed in the last game, communication can be kind of poor. Having said that, we have Sam Johnston. For me, next season, or as the season moves on, and we can hopefully consolidate our mid-table thing, put Johnston in there, see what he can do. If it's not Johnston for next season, then we've got to go out and get another goalkeeper. And it's not going to be Jack Butland because he's at United, obviously, sitting as a third-choice keeper. Guaita, to me, can't be the starting keeper next season. He just can't. It has to be somebody younger. I have no problem trying Johnston next season, but if it's not Johnston, now we've got a need for a goalkeeper. Not ideal, by the way, to have to look for a goalkeeper because that was always a hard thing to find. But for me, a bit of a strange one. It's not a long-term contract. He deserves it. We got him on free. But let's see what goes on. But again, next season, I don't want to see him, honestly, at the number one keeper.
Exactly. But I guess it helps us in that aspect because we haven't played Johnson this season. So if we were to get rid of Vicente and Johnson didn't suit our style of play, it sounds weird. But we're talking about goalkeeper, but goalkeeper nowadays, they have to adapt to how you do on the field as well in terms of passing and distribution. Yep. So we'll see. I mean, if this means that Vicente is going to be back up until we see if Johnson can be a number one, then I don't think there's any problem with that. And then after this, it might be a good time to move on. As much as I love Vicente, we have to try bring in younger goalkeepers. Maybe Whitworth can be there, or we can bring in another younger goalkeeper after Vicente's contract runs out. So
I like that idea.
Yeah. So we'll see in that aspect. But look, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. Just the time is interesting. I wonder how the club is thinking about Vicente's future at the club and what that means for Sam Johnson. Moving on to the final bit of rumor, and that is on Dylan Reid, who's set to join Palace. The 17-year-old St. Mirren Starlet appears on the brink of a move to the Premier League club, according to reports. The reports also suggest that the two clubs have agreed to a six-figure fee for the Scotland youth international, who previously rejected a move to Celtic last summer. Look, Patrick, about this one, let's just keep it short. He's only 17 years old. I haven't seen much of him or heard of him. And if he was to join, I expect it to be to academy level before the first team, which we'll probably find out a bit more about him.
Yeah, it reminds me of the, Scott Banks move from Scotland, Greyhound or Cormac Austin coming from Ireland. Yeah, you're taking a chance on a youngster. The fees, they say six figures. We're talking about maybe a couple of 100,000, maybe 800-900, who knows? But it won't be over £1 million. It's going to be cheap. Youth international, he's got some promise. If you're looking at move to Celtic, obviously Celtic's one of the biggest club in in Scotland with Rangers. So you got that. So again, it's for the future. So if he comes in, playing the 21, I wouldn't be against it. But he's not a player. He's not going to solve that central midfield issue we still have. So there is that. So we'll see.
Exactly. We will see. If you guys have enjoyed this, leave a like and subscribe. Let us know your thoughts on the Vicente contract extension, the rumours, Ebiowei going out on loan, and more. We should be back for probably the match reaction next time we speak, unless something crazy happens in the Palace world, which right now it seems like everything is on fire the way it's all going ahead of this game. But look, that's it from me and Patrick. Thank you for watching. Until next time, up the Palace.